No, and I really appreciate the wonderful introduction. I do have a few disclosures. They are visible on your screen. And gratefully, David has already gone over our learning objectives. So we can go right to the heart of this. So as I mentioned, Build a Better Diet Family is a program that's offered at Wentworth Douglas Hospital. Wentworth Douglas Hospital is a regional community hospital, and we offer a variety of programs for people in the area. And we have a very popular program called Build a Better Diet, and the family physicians and the community wanted us to offer something specifically for children and families. We happen to have a specialty pediatric practice associated with the hospital, and there was a lot of support to expand the service. So myself and my coworker Marianne got together and we decided to create this program called Build a Better Diet Family. And the response to this program has been really terrific. So it's been very exciting. And I wanted to share with you a little bit more about the program. Just want to pause for a second and ask David, can you see my screen okay, David?
Yes, it is. Well, I'm seeing the introductory screen, Build a Better Diet Family. I can see it, yes.
Hi, this is Michelle. Hi, Megrette. Your screen needs to go to full screen.
It is on full screen on my computer.
We're not seeing it that way.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. I have my screen share on.
There you go. All set.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So here's an image of the facility that I work at, and this program we began it in 2014. Again, we offer this to the community employees, specifically around nutrition, and so we're just going to kind of go over the program that's offered. Aspects of Build a Better Diet Family really include that this was developed as a weight-neutral program, and it is informational versus instructional. And what that means is we're really trying to give people access to a wide range of topics that might be of interest to a population of children ages, 5 to 18 years old. And as I mentioned, we do have a pediatric specialty group. We also have an employee wellness program, and we have a number of family practices that also need support around food and nutrition. One of the things that both myself and Marianne felt was important was we really wanted to include all children, and so Build a Better Diet Family allows all children to receive the same learning without feelings of guilt, shame, or self-loathing. So one of the things about this program is really to be very weight neutral. So it isn't a weight loss program. It is an informational program that gives a wide variety of information. And again, we really spend a lot of time crafting and selecting handouts that do not convey any specific weight issues. One of the things that we talk a lot about is the complex and dynamic nature of feeding a family. So Build a Better Diet Family introduces the larger concept of mindful eating, and this is really an introduction for a lot of people about the concept of mindful eating, and it encourages the parent and the child to consider the complex and dynamic nature of feeding a family. And we do this with some instruction that I will guide you through. So one of the ways that we do this is we introduce the concept of discover, explore, play, and challenge. And the discovery is something that we talk about as a way to present information to kids, and it's really encouraging parents to discover with the child. Sometimes we forget the beauty of that. When we talk about exploring, this is really the mindful eating piece, is really learn and kind of get a little bit deeper with our kids, and that's by engaging in activities where you taste food together, you buy food together, you eat together, you have family time, you talk about connections with food and eating. The play is not only with our food, but also at meals, so we really encourage this idea of bringing some levity to food and eating. And finally, gently challenging the norms around families. We recognize that mindful eating may be a new concept for many people, and this is an opportunity for us to introduce the concept of mindful eating. The Center for Mindful Eating offers a brochure, Why Mindful Eating? This is available for free for download, or you can purchase through the Center for Mindful Eating this brochure. So what I want to do is I'd like to just pause and find out how many people in this webinar, and we'll do this by a poll, are here for professional reasons, or are you here for personal reasons? And I'll let David,
Oops. Oh, sorry.
I'll let David and Michelle.
This is Michelle. Sorry, we keep having a little bit of technical difficulty, but I think we're sorted. So we're going to do a poll, and we're going to just check in to see how many folks here are TCME members. I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll, and we're just going to have it open for a minute. So if you could let us know, it just helps us understand who our audience is, and Megrette will be sharing the results of the poll. We have, 18 seconds in, and 80% of the people have voted. So just a few more seconds, then we'll just go to 30 seconds. And we appreciate your being here, everyone. We're excited to have Megrette present for us. She's one of our regulars. So 85%, 90%, another 10 seconds to let us know if you're a TCME member or not. And that looks good, Megrette. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and share results so you can see. And Megrette?
So for those of you who aren't currently members for the Center for Mindful Eating, you may want to go explore that website and just see if you can identify or find why mindful eating, because that might be helpful for you. So that's some great, and we're going to learn about some more resources. So
I'm going to go ahead and hide the results, Megrette. You ready to go back?
Great.
Okay.
So why mindful eating is a big question. So a lot of times we like to just kind of put it out there. We talk a little bit about it in the program, but really what we're trying to understand is if people have spent any time thinking about the complex relationship that families have and children have around food and eating. And one of the things that we are trying to understand is in the whole program how we can promote family meals, cooking together, tasting, slowing down the pace of eating, sensory integration, and play. And these are some specific aspects that mindful eating helps families do. So we really recognize that benefit. And the handouts that we have pulled support this as well. Also, you'll see a lot of times in the programming that we offer, the handouts, we talk a lot about connecting with food, growing food, going to a farmer's market. So we're really trying to get that piece in place. sensory integration, creative play, those kinds of things that we're really promoting. So I'm going to actually back up one slide. Understand a little bit more about creating a food philosophy. And this really, I think, sets a great stage for parents to start understanding the complex relationship that people have around food and eating. And when we talk about a food philosophy, we understand that food, eating, and nutrition are three distinct concepts that are interrelated. People select food to eat. They eat the food, and these choices ultimately nourish the body. It may seem simple, but many choices and decisions surrounding these three steps can create doubt, uncertainty, and fear that there's a right way to feed the family. There isn't a right way to eat, and there isn't a right way to feed a family. So creating a personal philosophy around food and eating and nutrition can be really helpful for parents. One of the things that we try to explain is that babies eat primarily because they're hungry. But in a short amount of time, babies associate eating with being held, warmth, comfort, and love. Eating is one of the many ways a child bonds with parents. It's easy to see eating is different than feeding. Eating is the ingestion of nutrition, but feeding is creating a bond that becomes the foundation for a healthy relationship between parents and children. The function of food expands from nourishment to offering critical secondary benefits of creating secure emotional bonds between the caregiver, and the child. Babies grow and the role of meals change even more. Eating now becomes the training ground for expressing independence and getting physical needs met. This complex relationship between food, eating, and nutrition becomes a culture. As families grow, this culture and common food choices fade away to become a series of invisible habits. Every family and child care center has a culture that's unique to them. One of the things that Build a Better Diet Family talks about is looking at our culture. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to expand our culture, and that can be challenging for people. So taking some time to explain this concept dynamic between food, eating, and nutrition, we find is a very helpful frame to introduce Build a Better Diet Family.
Hi, Megrette. This is Michelle again. We're getting some comments that your slides aren't advancing, and so I just want to double check what I'm seeing on the screen is what you have on your screen.
Should it be little peas?
Yes, which is my favorite graphic. I love this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I will just apologize to our audience if there was a delay. It'd be with the...
And pause the screen, so
I apologize. Okay, so we'll correct that for the recording. But we should all be on the hunger peas, which is my absolute favorite graphic. So just let us know if you are still having trouble, but otherwise we should all be on the peas.
So the piece about mindful eating we find really helpful is really having handouts to have people start explore this complex relationship that kids have around food and eating. And one of the tools that we use is this idea of these hunger P's. And these are hunger and fullness training is one of the ways mindful eating works. Also, decreasing mealtimes distraction is another way that mindful eating can help parents try to have kids understand this, why are you eating what you're eating? So again, mindful eating is really trying to look at this complex relationship, and hunger and fullness training does that. Decreasing distractions does that. With all aspects, all of these aspects are really talking about engaging in satisfaction with food and eating. So again, as we present the topics in Build a Better Diet Family, we're really trying to set the stage that food and eating and nutrition are complex, that we're trying to include all the children. We're trying to establish a relationship that's supportive, and that we focus in on the satisfaction with food and eating. So encouraging children with these types of activities offers improvement both in nutrition and learning. And this was a research study paper that was put out by Cornell in 2012. And the link is there as well. And the author is Cook, Eliza, and Donovan. Do family meals really make a difference? So that's a great resource for people. And research is really helping the healthcare community understand that mindfulness and mindful eating training can really help people normalize their relationship with food and eating. But more importantly, mindful eating promotes lifelong approaches to food selection, preparation, and consumption that really offer a lot of balance. And it's very helpful for people to kind of get introduced to this supportive way of thinking about food and eating. So what I'd like to do at this point is pause the webinar and just see if there's any questions, and you can raise your hand and I will answer those for you, and David will call on you and unmute you to ask your question. And while we're doing that, David or Michelle, we might be able to release that second poll to find out how many people are here for professional reasons or for personal reasons.
This is Michelle. I'll go ahead and launch that poll. And then if you have a question and you'd like to speak with Megrette and the rest of us, just click that icon to raise your hand. And I see I've got one person here. This may have been from before. This is Cindy. I'm going to go ahead and check in with you, Cindy. Do you have a question that you'd like to bring into the conversation? And it doesn't look like she's there, so I'll check back with her in a bit. If there's anyone else, I see Janet. I'll go ahead and try you. Janet, are you with us? No. Anyone else? Let's see. Katya. You can know that we're in alphabetical order. Hi, Katya.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Go ahead and join the conversation here with our question or comment for Megrette.
Thank you. Megrette, I just wondered if over the course of the webinar you'll tell us a little bit about the program when you offer it, in terms of how many families are usually in your groups and whether the sessions are done with the parents and the kids together or some of the activities are done separately. It sounds like a fabulous program. I'd love to try to integrate something like that in our community. Thank you.
Yeah, Katya, we're actually going to get to see some pictures of how it's set up, but I definitely will go over that. And if I don't, you can raise your hand or text, and Michelle or David will interrupt me to remind me. So thank you so much for asking.
Thank you.
Anyone else has some questions so far, that would be helpful.
Yep. Okay, I have Marley. I'll go ahead and check with you. Do you have any questions you'd like to bring into the conversation? Nope. Okay. And we have Oof. Let's see. Would you like to bring in a question to the conversation?
No, actually, it was a mistake. I just pressed the button in a different context. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So, Megrette, I would say we don't have any questions at the moment.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And what I'm really seeing is most people are here professionally, or they want to get some things professionally and maybe try it out on their kids, which is actually a great approach. I just really want you to say, I love it. Mindful eating allows us to really become scientists and we can experiment. So my children, before I do anything, I'll say to them, how does this sound? Does this make sense? Is this okay? So feel free to try it out on our loved ones first. That's the great part about mindful eating. So let's learn a little bit more about how Build a Better Diet is set up. And as you can see in this, that's me teaching. And the very first thing is understanding your family's food philosophy. And on my website, mindfuleatingforkids.com, this is a blog post, and you can actually take that and read it. It's very similar to what I read to you as well. So it really kind of goes over trying to help people understand this complex process of food, eating, and nutrition. And then we have something called a tool scramble. So, and this is a picture of Marianne, and the instructors really try to do this by reading a little bit about what a food philosophy is, and then we do an imagine. So I have the audience imagine that they're eating their dinner, and I imagine them to having a normal breakfast, and then all of a sudden someone comes down and sits down at the dinner table, but they're not from their country of origin. So I'm in the United States, so imagine somebody from China sits down at the table with me. And you might realize very quickly the foods that I think are very normal and typical breakfast foods all of a sudden don't seem that normal. And that idea of looking at things with fresh eyes helps people understand that that's our culture. We get blinded by our culture, and that if we can start looking at things fresh and new, it's very, very helpful. For those people that are familiar with Buddhism, we call that beginner mind. But really the idea is that children don't have any past, or not much of a past as parents do. So we always think, oh, we always have that for breakfast. But for a child, they're really open to new tastes and new experiences. So as we try to help our patients unravel this, we do this with just a little imagine. And a lot of times it helps people see some openings in where they want to learn or where they want to add foods. So they might say, all right, we always have cereal for breakfast. Maybe there's an opportunity there. Or maybe we don't have time for breakfast. Maybe there's an opportunity there. So if we look at things from what the outsider would see, a lot of times it can give us more opportunity to change or identify opportunity to change. So we go through the distinct parts. Food, eating are three distinct parts, and people select food. And they eat food, and food nourishes the body. And we describe how this whole idea that it may seem simple, but it isn't. And then we go through, encourage people to create their own personal food philosophy. My experience has been when I teach this class is it's really a conversation. Parents start talking to each other. We have a lot of single families, and so we'll have parents talk to children, or parents talk to other parents, so they might talk to their own parent. We have a lot of younger moms and grandparents living together, so children living with their grandparents, and so it will just kind of start a philosophy there. And a lot of times, if we hadn't done that introduction, people are going into this class thinking that there's a right way to eat. So they go into the class with this preconceived notion that my kids need to eat more vegetables, or my kids need to eat low fat, or my kids need to lose weight. So all of a sudden, by doing this food philosophy, it's saying, wait a second, Is that accurate? Is that true? What is my food philosophy? What do I need to support myself to create a consistent message that's supportive and kind for my children? And it's really, we'll talk about at the end how we close it. But that feedback has been very important when we present. And as you can see, what we do is, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but we have on the wall, these are Facebook images that we print out. So I have a number of blog posts and I create images. The Center for Mindful Eating creates graphical quotes, and we print those out and we tape them to the wall. And beneath those are these folders full of handouts. And these handouts, we started with about 15. We have over 30. The last time we checked, we had about 45 different handouts that we put around the room. And they really do range in topics. And as we offer the program, we ask people, was there a topic or an area that wasn't covered? And when they identify deficiencies, we go and find those handouts or create them, and then we make those available as well. And these are some places where we get our handouts from. We also include a list very similar to this for participants to take home as well. Most people have access to the internet, so we do that as well. We definitely are very selective because we don't feel that some of the handouts that are available are meeting that mindful eating, weight neutral, health at every size perspective. So we're very selective about what we use. I will say that we really enjoy Ellen Satter's handouts, particularly the division of responsibility and what is normal eating. We love the familydinnerproject.org. We love the Center for Mindful Eating. Some of our parents are receptive to reading this little grace that the Family Dinner Project has created, so we pull that out separately, letting that be something that people might be interested in. Old Ways has a lot of really good information, particularly about cooking, so cooking with whole grains and spices. Super Kids Nutrition is a great site. It's very fun. It's very kid-friendly. We are very fortunate. Chop Chop Magazine has befriended us and sends us copies of their magazines, which we distribute to all the family practices and our specialty practice group. And Chop Chop Magazine is something that every participant leaves with if they would like. There are other information. Because we have a specialty practice group, we do have children with diabetes that attend this program, so we do include some diabetes information and pre-diabetes information for families as well, and that's why Lilly Insulin is listed. For those of you who are not familiar with Chop Chop Magazine, this is what it looks like. There are no advertisements in this magazine. And as you can see, they're just very colorful, very approachable. Chop Chop is really about fun. So it's all about kids experimenting and kids having fun. It's a fabulous magazine, and we really recommend it. As I stated, we do have a list of the handouts so participants can learn more. We also have apps, a list of apps that they can download if they use smartphones. So that's part of it. So at this point, what I'd like to do is, and we do have the inspirations, but I'm going to go back a slide. I'm going to pause and just, again, open it up for questions that people might have about how the room is set up, and then we'll go through a little bit more as to how to present. So if you have a question, if you could raise your hand, David or Michelle will call on you, and I can answer that question for you.
Yep, this is Michelle.
See, Jan Waters. Excuse me. Jan Waters has a question.
Okay, Jan, go ahead. Jan, are you unmuted? Looks like you're unmuted. Jan, you have a question?
Oh, she may not be there anymore.
Oh, anyone else have a question? You can raise your hand.
Jennifer Glauser, do you have a question?
Oh, I'm going to jump in, David. Just using their first name, if you could. I have Rachel. If you could, you have a question for us?
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Oh, nope, she doesn't have a mic. We've got all sorts of things. She wanted to know if let's see. Nope, she doesn't have a question. We do have a question here from Tammy, who asked if you could share references for the research slide, which we can go back to later. Let's see.
If you print out the handouts from this talk, so there you should be able to find it, but we can email it as well.
Okay, and that's it, Megrette. We don't have any other questions that have come in regarding. Oh wait. Tom, you have a question for us?
Yes, I think I had the same question that was just answered, which is, can you make those websites and other information that we can use later, can you make those available to us in some way?
Again, if you print out the handouts, you should be able to see that, and there was a separate reference list that was sent as part of this program, but if you don't get it, you can email me at megrette@megrette.com, and I will make sure that I send that out for you.
I may not have looked at the email carefully enough, so I'll recheck it. So, but thank you.
All right, wonderful. So one of the things that we like to do is above each of the handouts are taped to the walls are these motivational graphics that we download them, and both Marianne and I will do that. And these are some that are listed from the Center for Mindful Eating. Well, what we ask our participants is if you find a graphic that you find really inspiring, please take it home. And we would say about 2/3 of all the graphics are taken home. So people will take those as well. So that is a lot of fun. And the graphics, I think, really let the people start pondering and asking questions like, what is it that I'm really hungering for? And we have these little side conversations between the parents and the kids. And we do have children as young as 5 come to this program, and as old as 50. But because we had an adult child with their adult parent come, and it was fun to have them talk about living with their mom again. So it was fun. But the key piece is if you are a Center for Mindful Eating member, these graphical quotes are available for download for free for members. So this is just a member benefit, and there's a lot of wonderful quotes, and both Marianne and I have them in our office as well, just to kind of give some inspiration while people are sitting in our office, some visual cues. So this one says mindful eating includes tuning in not only to the body's hunger and satiety, but also to its responses to food. So that's kind of fun. This one is about mindful eating is about becoming curious and aware so you can make conscious decisions regarding food and your diabetes care. curiosity is definitely stressed during this programming, and you know, we really talk about curiosity, and approaching food and eating with curiosity is great. And that's really that discover, and that's really that explore theme. Some of the quotes that we have up are just funny, just human quotes. I never make the same mistake twice. I make it 5 or 6 times just to be sure. Grammarly is great. We talk a lot about, and we have handouts about balance because we work with teenagers, and we really try to make sure that issues around balance and sleeping and stress management are also part of the resources that are available. We had a couple of teenagers at our last program, and one of the teenagers turned around and said, when I have the choice between eating and sleeping, I always want to sleep. I really don't want to get up early so I can make my breakfast. And there was some questions about how do I find a balance around that, so it was interesting. One of the things that both Marianne and I like to teach in the program, and we do this actually before we go around and explain the different handouts that are available, is we teach people about OOPS. So I'd like to teach everyone here at this class how to teach people about OOPS. So Marianne and I are very friendly when we teach this, and there's a lot of friendly banter back and forth. If you're teaching it with yourself or by yourself, you may want to ask if there could be some participation, because it's fun when you can dialogue back and forth. And I'm just going to ask David just to double check if we can make sure everyone's muted, because it doesn't sound like people are. Oops, sorry. So I'm still hearing a little static, but if we can make sure all the participants are muted, that would be helpful. So what we do
that they are.
Oh, great, thanks. What we can do is, or what you can do is stand in front of the audience and say, I need to teach you something that's really, really important. Are you guys ready? So you guys ready? So I'm going to teach you something really important. Sometimes our plans don't work out and it doesn't go well. And so you have to learn how to say oops. And we do that with our shoulders up and we go oops, and we put our hands out to the side and we go oops. And Marianne and I do it. We go, we want you to practice. So can you guys all practice with us and say oops? And the room will go oops. And we say, okay, now look at your kid, look at the person next to you, look at your children, look at the person next to you, and just say oops. And that gets so much laughter, and everyone goes, that is really, really funny. So that works out great. Teaching people oops is wonderful. And we say, well, if you don't want to say oops, what else you could say? And then we go, oh, well, or maybe next time, or oh, you know, and we go through those different things, and it works out really well. The parents are really into that, and they're very funny. But this idea about forgiveness is really important to teach. It just makes it fun and lighthearted, and that's really important when we talk to families, that we make it fun and lighthearted. The other thing that we do is we talk about some resources called tinyhabits.com. And this is an image of Dr. Fogg. And Dr. Fogg has an approach, and he talks about the dot, which is when we change or do something once. He has something called a span, and that's a length of time that has a beginning and an end. He talks about the path, and that is the lifelong behavior. So when we introduce the handouts or the concepts, we initiate with talking about we don't have to try things and eat them for the rest of our lives. If we don't like them, we could just try it once, and that might be a discover. We could explore something for a span of time, or we could try it for a span of time. and we explain that that's something that has a beginning and an end. But ultimately, our intention is to create healthy eating habits that last a lifetime. So that would be a path. And we encourage parents and kids both to go to tinyhabits.com. It's a free 5-day email program that allows people to identify some changes that they would like to make. In addition to that, at the end of the program, we just ask people to write down something that they learned that they might be willing to try. And our little goal sheet that we use said, what is one thing that you got today that you're excited about trying? So that's the wording that we have. So kind of looking at the Build a Better Diet family program, we call it our primer to mindful eating. It introduces the concept of mindful eating, and it helps people understand, particularly families understand, and parents understand the complex relationship that surrounds food eating and health. It encourages them to create a food philosophy. This introductory class really can integrate many aspects of nutrition. We also talk a lot about how people can discover something, and that might be the dot, or explore something, which might be that span. They might challenge themselves for a span of time, but ultimately that they're going to try to understand how food and eating can be fun. So hopefully what happens at the end of Build a Better Diet is they can really identify how this idea of discover, explore, play, and challenge can really be part of not only how they understand nutrition, but also how they teach nutrition. And we do offer that list of handouts for more learning. There was a question in the beginning about how many people come to this, and we have generally over 30 people will come. Our sign-ups have been anywhere from about 30 to 70 people have signed up. Not everyone comes. It is a free program. We offer it in the evening. We offer it in a really beautiful space. I'm going to cough, so I'm going to mute myself for a second. In addition to that, it's employees, so we really target employees as part of their wellness benefit, and it gives points towards that. At this point, I'd like to, again, give everyone an opportunity to raise their hand and ask some questions about the program.
We do have a couple of questions that came in, Megrette. I'd like to invite Marcia to share her question. Let me just find you in our list. And I'll go ahead and unmute you, Marcia. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you like to ask your question for Megrette around practicing and mindful eating and preparing foods with activities?
Yes. With the when you have the kids in the program, do you do hands-on activities that actually include maybe preparing foods or eating a particular food slowly? So having them actually practice being mindful and slowing down while they eat?
We don't. The Build a Better Diet is a primer to mindful eating, so it's informational versus instructional. So that's one of the things that's important to understand. Because of the popularity of the program, the hospital is thinking about offering a mindful eating series, and that I'll be happy to do a program to find out how well that goes, but it's right now in the beginning stages, but possibly a 4-hour mindful eating class. One of the things that we do when we start the program is Marianne and I will walk around the room and we'll describe the different handouts. And and we'll go through and we'll say, so this is about finding more fruits and vegetables, and this is about healthy eating and snack ideas and smoothies, and we go through, we walk around the room talking about the different handouts that are there. And then what we do is we say to people, we're going to give you about 20 minutes to get up and walk around the room and pick a few of the handouts that speak to you. And we encourage you not to take every handout because they're not all of interest to you. So just pick the ones that you like. And that has been great because at the close of the session, we ask everyone to share why they chose their handouts. So there'll be a brief, maybe 30-second, I picked, this handout, making smoothies because I want a quick breakfast idea. Or I picked this handout, the Hunger Peacefulness Pod, because I'm overeating and I want to check in more with my hunger. So there'll be an opportunity for people to share why they chose what they chose, which is great. And additionally, our additional close that we have is there's a book written by 2 dietitians called No Wine with Dinner. And they have some tried and true tips from parents. And we've created those into little cards, and people will read them. And the class will kind of comment if they think it's a good tip. Additionally, when people start the program, we always begin the program by saying, what do you do right now with your family that works? And so when everyone introduces themselves, hi, my name is Marcia, and we have dinner together, we have family time, and we really feel that works. Or, my children pack a vegetable at lunch, or we're switching over to whole wheat bread, or we're pausing at the dinner table, or I'm asking my kids to, make their own lunch in the morning. But whatever it is that works for them, they introduce themselves and say, hi, I'm Megrette, this is what I'm doing that works. And so it starts the conversation going. We focus on what is working for the patient and for the families. We focus on the families being the expert. We focus in on sharing other positive things that have worked for people and letting people choose what works for them, letting people decide if those tips resonate with them. And the feedback that we get by doing it in that capacity is more interest. And that's why it seems like the program, the more we offer it, the more interest there is in mindful eating, and the more we're getting feedback to say we want more programming around that. So the class has been offered for about a year, and we're already talking about adding on additional programming. Kind of 2 different departments are interested in it. We have an integrative medicine department and a diabetes department, and both of those are interested in bringing aspects of mindful eating deeper into their programming for the community. So did that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you are offering some kind of interaction in this informational program where they can talk about their own individual experiences. So yeah, I see what you're saying. It's more like a introductory type program.
A primer. It gets people
A
into
primer.
it. It's a taste. If we were using a food metaphor, I think it's an appetizer.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Great. Other questions or comments that I can answer?
We had one question come in from Rachel, and it sounds like you may have answered most of this when you were speaking with Marcia, but she asked about how much time for dialogue and breaking into groups. She's curious about how the program looks in practice, and then she was also wondering if there was a lesson plan that could be shared.
So those are great questions. I don't have a lesson plan. If you email me at megrette@megrette.com, I can share with you the outline that we use. so it's not really a lesson plan but an outline. And I'll be happy to share that with anyone. It is going to take me a day or so to get it to you because it's on my work computer and it's not on my home computer where I am right now. So I'll be happy to go do that. If it's okay, I think I have enough time in this webinar to go over just kind of the format, and that would probably be pretty helpful, I think. So people come into the room and we welcome them. There is only water available in the room, so there's no food in the room. The room is set up so there's coloring books and crayons in the back, and there's a space for children to color and play if they don't want to participate. Additionally, around the room are the posters and the folders with the handouts in it. When people come in, Mary Ann and I introduce ourselves. And again, I've been blessed to be able to teach this, so that's been very helpful. It's a busy class. It's 90 minutes in length, and all 90 minutes are used, so it's very busy. When people come into the room, we are introducing everyone, and we do preface it with a quick introduction, your name, and what's working for you, so we do that. And then we go through the welcome. We explain what we hope they're going to get out of the program. We explain how the room is set up. We offer that if there's a graphical quote that's inspirational to them, to take it. We go through both OOPS training and we explain the food philosophy and the BJ Fogg dot, spanned, and path. Then we review with participants walking around the room what all the different folders are. Then we give them approximately 20 minutes to look at the handouts and select the ones that resonate with them. When they come back into the room, they will then share briefly with the class, and usually 30 seconds or so, and we try to estimate how much time they have because they can see everyone's going to talk, so it does have to be brief, why they chose the handouts that they chose. It's awesome to watch the parents have the children talk because all the kids talk. All the kids really want to explain why they picked what they picked. And it's interesting because when they're 17 they want to share, and when they're 5 they want to share, so that's great. Then once that's all done, we will then hand out those little cards from No Wine with Dinner, and it's WHINE versus WINE. So no wine with dinner, and people will read them. And usually what happens is some ideas, a lot of people say, no, I'm not interested in that, but other people are like, what do you think? You know, and they kind of tap their family member like, that's a good idea, whatever. And then after that, we thank everyone. We do ask everyone to fill out one little gem that they got. We hand out evaluations, and then we close the program. So that's the format that it goes, and that will take the full 90 minutes. Our piece that we do in the beginning is about 30 minutes. Then between the introductions, where what works for the family, and the close, why did you choose your handout, and then the 20 minutes, and then that short reading, that's the other hour, the other 60 minutes, so there's not much time after that. If there's other questions, I'm happy to take those, and I do recognize we're just about out of time.
Yes, Megrette, we do have a question here from Lynn. That was a wonderful explanation of what you have been doing, what you've been developing in your practice. And she's wondering, how does this work with different cultures, and has this been adapted to Latino, Asian, and other cultures?
No, I have not. For our community, it has a lot of Indonesian individuals in it. We don't have a large Hispanic population. I do have many handouts in Spanish available. So Lynn, if that's something that is of interest, I can share some of those. The Center for Mindful Eating also has their resources are available in Spanish as well. We have 2 Spanish-speaking board members. So there is a lot of resources in Spanish on the Center for Mindful Eating website, which you could certainly use and take, which I think is helpful as well. I just find that this whole program is so respectful that if you have a particular population, I would think just including handouts that you think would speak to that population, you could easily adapt it. But if you do choose to try this program out with a Latino population, I'd love to hear how it goes. So please circle back.
That's great, Megrette. Thank you.
It looks like, thank you, Michelle, for the Spanish resource page. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Megrette, thank you for all that you do for the Center for Mindful Eating. And we were really delighted. Great material, seemed like a lot of inspiration. And thanks so much for your presentation. Now this ends the program titled Build a Better Diet Family. And thanks so much for everyone who attended this seminar. Please feel free to contact the Center for Mindful Eating, and if you're not, become a member, and hope you join us again for another webinar. Thank you very much, and have a nice day, everybody.